Well, as you can see, I was at physical therapy today. So let me just very quickly give you an update. My physical therapist says that the Bell's palsy is really coming along well. The top half of my face is where it's supposed to be. It's sort of the bottom half that I'm still having a little trouble with, but doing well. So thank you all so much for your many good wishes. Looks like we're on top of it. Today, I thought we would finish up taking a look at the china, a little more identification, a little more detail about some things. So, when we come back. One of the things that I noticed when I was going through the boxes, I mean, I was always sort of aware of this, but somehow going through boxes brings it to the forefront of your mind. I have a sort of core group of china in my service, and that is what the whole set is rather built around. So while I don't really care for that whole matchy-matchy thing, there is a central group of china that is all matchy-matchy that I've built around. So the first thing I wanted to do was show you that, interestingly enough, it is not Rose Medallion, it is Rose Canton. So let's take a look. This Rose Canton pattern is the nucleus of my dinner service china. These are little dessert bowls. Over here we have bread and butter plates, some bowls, as you can see. Got 4 of them out here. And a few other pieces like the cream and sugar, all in the same pattern. It's about the only portion of my dinner service that's really matchy-matchy. For example, let's take a look at this. This is one of the lids to the cream soup bowls. There's another. So even though they are similar in that they are Rose Canton, they're actually reasonably different. There's one bowl. Here's another. This one has the butterflies. This one is Rose Medallion. Let's see what this is. Rose Canton, or still rather different. Because I'm not a big fan of matchy-matchy. Same thing with the coffee cups. These are the coffee cups that go with my dinner service. The only thing they all really have in common is this little decorative ring on the inside of the cup. So let's get that out of here. As you can see, very different little design. And yet another. And none of the coffee cups match. It's the same with the cream soup bowls. When we get over to the saucers, a lot of them do match. But again, as I mentioned, or did I mention, there are about 24 saucers in that stack, plus some more over here, some up there. Basically, I have an abundance of saucers, and some of them match up. And some of them do not. So one of the things I'm going to do when I repack the china is pull out the saucers that I want and need. Now, this is service for 6, so I need 6 saucers for the cream soup bowls. I need 6 saucers for the coffee cups. And given how many saucers I have, I will probably keep an additional 6 saucers just for the fun of it, or in case I ever come up with rice bowls. These cups, or these lids rather, are for rice bowls. They don't fit the cups, as you can see, or the cream soup bowls, but they'll do very nicely in rice bowls. I'm not 100% sure why I want rice bowls, but I can certainly see a situation in which I might want to lay out some small amount of something or other that I might want to keep warm. So I will hang on to them. And also, lids like that are hard to find, so it won't kill me to sort of keep a few extra lids on hand. The other thing I noticed when dealing with this is all of the egg cups I have. I have 6 here. I have 6 packed away with the tea set, and I have another 6 in the kitchen. So yeah, I've kind of gone a little crazy on egg cups, and I need to do something about that. Here is another of my non-little matchy-matchy. And we spoke about this, I believe. This is a Rose Medallion demi-tasse cup. And this is the front of the cup. Whenever you have a Rose Medallion piece, you are going to have the people in the front. We know it's the front because the handle is to the right. This is the back of the cup. So this is a Rose Canton demi-tasse cup, which means the flowers are on both the front and the back. But the main reason you would want to know the front and back from pieces like this is, as you can see, if you look at this cup from the back, you really will not know if it's Rose Canton or Rose Medallion. It's the front that tells us this. Well, in addition to showing you the core group, I also showed you my cream soup bowls and the coffee cups. All different. Those are as non-matchy-matchy as they get. However, in all likelihood, and there's a stack of saucers, and if I didn't show you the saucers in that segment, they'll be coming up. Whole stack of saucers. And in all likelihood, the saucers for the coffee cups and the saucers for the cream soup bowls are probably going to be a matched set of 6 each. Whether or not it will be a matched set of 12, so all the saucers match, I don't know. But yeah, those are probably going to match. But it's not going to be part of my original core set. So they may be Rose Medallion, they may be Rose Canton. We're just going to take a look and see what it is I have and what it is that's staying with the china. Next up, I got some questions about, and some comments about the green pieces. Those are a bok choy pattern Chinese cabbage, and those are a couple of really nice plates. One was marked China, 1890 to 1919. I know you hear me say this all the time, but I'm going to say it until every time you look at China, you say 1890 to 1919, and every time you look at Made in China, you say 1919 to 1939, just until it's automatic, because that is how you age pieces, and with age comes value. So the same piece marked China is going to be more valuable head to head than a piece marked made in China. Now, keep in mind, that's not true across the board. A very good made in China piece is going to be more valuable than a very poor China piece. It's really a question of all things being equal. The older piece is going to be more valuable. But let's take a look at those bok choy pieces. So I got some comments on these, the bok choy pattern. These two pieces are bok choy, cabbage. This one is marked China, and this one is marked made in China. So this one is between 1890 and 1919. This one is between 1919 and 1939. You can see there's rather a big difference. And interestingly enough, these pieces were made for export. They were made to be brought into the United States, and we know that from the identifying marks. Ordinarily, pieces like this were saved in China. They were not ordinarily export pieces. So finding pieces like this, it's sort of a double-edged sword. If you collect bok choy, then you know it's expensive. However, since it's rare and a lot of people will only see that made in China mark on the back and not understand what it means, you can still get some very good deals on pieces like this. Jocelyn found these pieces. I'm pretty sure it was at Lemoyne Antique a couple of years ago, and as I recall, they were $7 a piece, which is a remarkably good price. So you can still get very good deals because people don't know what they are. They are considered rose medallion. I know, where is our little pink peony? Nowhere to be seen. Where is any of our pink? Nowhere to be seen. But they are considered in the rose medallion family. I know, it's hard to figure it out, but in fact, the French named the china, gave them their categories, and, well, they're French, so I don't know what they were thinking. I expect a lot of pieces were dumped into the rose medallion category simply because nobody could think of anywhere else to put them. For example, our little butterfly cup, that is considered rose medallion, so this piece, like this, would also be considered part of the Famille rose, which means pink family. So, and this, of course, is more yellow and brown than anything else. Certainly not pink. Yeah, rose medallion. Who would have thought? I don't actually think that when the French organized the categories for Chinese export porcelain, they were thinking in terms of the bok choy pattern, because as I mentioned, it was for the most part kept in China. It wasn't considered an attractive item to Western sensibilities. So things like the blue willow and the Canton, not rose Canton, just Canton ware, those are both blue and white patterns that resonated strongly in the West. And the Famille rose, rose medallion, rose Canton, rose Mandarin also resonated with Western taste, but either the bok choy pattern did not, which would surprise me because it's very nice, or perhaps the Chinese did not think it would. It was not exported from China or imported to the West in large quantities. Those are considered, Chinese domestic pieces. Obviously, they were exported, hence the marks. There would be no purpose in putting China in English, made in China in English on a piece that was not being exported to the U.S. Remember, it was our legal requirements that set up those markings. Initially, 1890, we said it had to have the name of the country. And then later in 1919, we were a little pickier and said, well, it has to say where it's made. So hence, made in China. So obviously, those pieces were intended to end up in the United States. But in general, the bok choy pattern is not one that was widely exported. So my suspicion is that at some later date, it was thrown into the rose medallion category because nobody could figure out where else to put it. And it may also be that the real experts didn't give it this designation, but that amateur collectors, or I suppose back in the day, it would have been people purchasing the china for their own table, just made the decision without much regard to the sense that rose medallion, rose canton all meant pink. Because it's widely believed that those little peonies in the middle are the roses. So just goes to show you that, mistakes can give us all kinds of things. And I believe, without very much evidence, I'll be honest with you, but I believe that is likely to be how we ended up with things like bok choy or the brown and yellow butterfly pieces falling into a category that is supposed to be pink family. I have a few little oddball pieces, and so I thought we'd take a look at those next, just because these are little oddities that you might come across. When I come across them, if I find them at good prices, I grab them on the theory that if I don't need them, I can always sell them. Now, there are a few little oddities I've picked up along the way. This is an interesting little set of rose canton salt and pepper. It's got a friend over there. These were made in Japan, decorated in Hong Kong. I have another set of rose medallion shakers, much smaller. And over here, same size as those little rose medallion. This is Famille rose in the 1,000 flower pattern. But I also have things like this. A little creamer, I would say, depending on how light you like your coffee, this is probably cream for two, rose canton, and YT. And remember, we spoke about this, the porcelain manufacturing companies in Japan ordinarily identified themselves by their initials. This is made in China, so this is earlier. Also, rose medallion, remember, handle to the right, that tells us. Much smaller than this one, as you can see, probably service for one. And I have one, here it is. This is also YT, and I can only describe this as a miniature creamer. There's barely enough room for, 1 cup of coffee's worth of cream. But it's an interesting little piece, and I grabbed it when I saw it. Now, I really don't see myself making any use of those little itty-bitty creamers, but who knows? I think if I were going to lay out toothpicks on a table, for, picky hors d'oeuvres or whatever, they might be good toothpick holders. In terms of their usefulness in holding cream, even the largest of the two would barely deal with 2 cups of coffee. So I don't know. but they will probably have a use. I will probably find a use for them, especially the little teeny tiny one, which is so cute. It's like a little dollhouse sized piece. If I ever decide that my Barbies need to throw a tea party, I'll be all set. There were a couple of other pieces too. Uh, One is a picture, and it's the picture. It's a nice picture. It's just, oh, probably somewhat on the small side. Not a pitcher that is big enough to fill it with ice water and set it on the table for people to serve themselves drinks. But from time to time, you might serve something that would have a rather runny sauce, a sauce you wouldn't want to use a ladle for. This might come in handy. So I grabbed it because the price was good. And also another sauce boat. And this sauce boat is the oldest of my china pieces. This is another piece. This is Chinese. It's a pitcher. I would say it probably holds a pint of whatever one would put in it. I'm not really sure what I would do with that. I would say I would probably save that for a very liquidy sauce rather than a drink, because it only holds a pint. Nice piece. I got it because it was inexpensive. This sauce boat, rose medallion, and we've got people on the other side. This is an old Chinese piece, probably the oldest piece in all of my service. Very pretty. I like it. You can absolutely tell there is a difference between this piece and this, which I believe is made in Japan, decorated in Hong Kong, which would mean second half of the 20th century, actually probably third quarter 20th century. You can certainly tell the difference. A much older piece, much more artistic interpretation. The design is less sort of carved in stone, so to speak. This plate, which is newer than that little sauce boat, I got simply because I thought it would go well with the sauce boat. I believe this is, yes, made in China, so 1919 to 1939, much newer. Let me show you. It's a good fit for the sauce boat, so I got that. Another reason I got that is my silver service has an awful lot of ladles in it. Consequently, all the bowls, and yeah, gee, if I'm going to lay out the silver and lay out the china, I want to be able to use those ladles. Well, the sauce boat is one of my favorites. And as I mentioned, and I will mention later on in this video, the sauce boat is important because I have ladles with my silver service. My silver service was from the early 1900s, 1911. I think it was discontinued in 1911. It's Family Silver, and they were big on ladles. They had sauce ladles, they had gravy ladles, they had mayonnaise ladles, they had, like lemon juice ladles. If they could have a ladle, they did. And if they made a ladle, I've got it. So because I've had my silver, I've had my silver from the day I was born. This was my grandmother's silver. It was always meant to be mine. So the china service was collected to complement the silver, not the other way around. So needless to say, you give me a nice sauce boat and I've got a ladle for it. And Small wonder there's like a dozen bowls sitting out there because I've got the ladles for them. So that's a nice piece. I like it. And it's the oldest. It's always going to have a little bit of a sentiment for me just because of that. Um, the next piece is up. This is a set that I got, I think it was at the Antique Marketplace in Lemoyne. Take a look. Now, if you follow the Crazy Lamp Lady videos, you may remember these. I purchased them. They were my Christmas present to me a year ago on one of the trips that I took with Jocelyn somewhere out in Hanover. I don't remember which. And these are dessert plates. Rose medallion, hexagonal. I was willing to pay $120 for the set of 6, but the dealer gave me a discount, and I believe he took 10% off. Still, you may be asking, why would I pay $20 a plate for these? Well, in part, it's because they are marked China. So that's 1890 to 1919. So they're antique, but mostly it's the shape. Plates that have interesting shapes are always sought by collectors, and these are nice little hexagonal plates. The paint is very heavy on them. If you run your fingers across this plate, boy, it's like reading Braille. So I was extremely glad to get them. I felt that at $20 a plate, it was a good deal, not a super bargain. You know, a super bargain would be if I got them for $2 a plate, not likely, but I felt that the price was more than fair. And of course, the fact that I got a discount made it even better, but those are now my dessert plates. So when the Queen comes to dinner, I hope she isn't expecting a very grand dessert, because these are very tiny plates. I got those. I paid something closer to retail, let me put it that way, than I pay for most of my pieces. Full retail, no. Those pieces will do a lot better than that on the open market, because they are old, and they're old, they're in perfect condition, and they are in that beautiful little hexagonal shape. Weird shapes appeal to collectors, and collectors will pay a lot more money for a little 6-sided plate like that than they would for a round plate. It's just that simple. In part, it's the rarity, but also it's just the aesthetic appeal of having something different. And I know, because I was willing to pay for them, and gee, I don't pay retail, not if I can avoid it. So you may have remembered, because that would have been about a year ago, I got them. They were my Christmas present to me. And I do that every year. I get myself a Christmas present. And why not? So, and I'm really pleased with those. Those are dessert plates. And I recently ordered a set of depression glass sherbet cups, little footed cups that will sit on those little plates. And so that kind of limits me. And basically, if I have the Queen over, she's going to get ice cream for dessert, or custard. I don't know. But and if I have Prince Charles, I have the egg cups, because apparently that man cannot eat a meal unless there is a precisely boiled, soft-boiled egg sitting with it. So the Queen can feel free to bring her son when she comes to tea. I have the egg cups. Next up is just another Macau piece, just to show you. Now, this, by the way, just while I have it out here, is a mid-century ashtray, rose Mandarin, because we've got our giant scene of people. And this is another piece that was made in Macau. That little gold sticker says made in Macau. The fact that it's made in Macau adds nothing to the value, as I've said before. It's just unusual, and therefore I was glad to have it as a curiosity. So it's definitely welcome in my collection. It's not the sort of thing I would put out unless I threw mints in it or something like that, because I don't really care for the idea of somebody stubbing out a cigar on my rose medallion, even if it is just 50-year-old Macau. Actually, no, it's 2020, 70-year-old Macau. I'd still rather they not put out their cigarettes in it. As I've mentioned before, the Macau pieces are not inherently valuable because they are rare. Not. They have the same general value as a piece that would have been made in Japan, decorated in Hong Kong. That would have been from the same period, the years following World War II. But I have it because it's there, and also because I feel there are probably uses I could make of an ashtray. After all, Audie's cat food dish is actually an ashtray. It's a little Famille vert dish with a brass casing around it and a little divot for a cigarette in it. So technically, it's an ashtray. Audie doesn't mind. It's clean. Nobody's putting out their cigarettes in it. And because I keep cat food in it, nobody's likely to. But for Audie, I did feel kind of bad that the dog had beautiful old Chinese porcelain, and Audie, after he broke his first beautiful old Chinese dish, was dealing with a mid-century stoneware bowl. But he had found a mouse. He somehow chased the mouse up onto the counter, and he and the mouse got into it right on top of his food dish. And the dish went skittering, broke. He got the mouse, by the way. Just so, as far as Audie's concerned, there was a happy ending. But having that metal casing around the dish, I think will offer some protection the next time he has an overly aggressive mouse in his sights. But the final pieces, at least for this, are the dinner plates. And one of the chargers. I've shown one of the chargers, so let's look. Now this you've seen before. This is a very large, heavy Andrea by Sadik Rose Canton dinner plate. And I have some more. Rose Medallion, and this is a PCT. So, made in Japan, decorated in Hong Kong, same size. This is also PCT. Now let's get down to these. This is one of my charger plates. Large, very pretty. And when we start looking at setting the table, I'll show you what the charger plates are for. It's very interesting, but I do have charger plates for my set. I still need an extra one. I think I have 5 and need 6. Or maybe I... Now, we've discussed Andrea by Sadik, the pieces that were made to the specification of the US-based importer, and they were all, they are exact duplicates. They were made to very exacting specifications. They were sold through major department stores, and hence there is this sort of sense that they're not real rose medallion. I don't have a problem with them as part of my dinner service, not in the least. Eventually, I may replace them when, I can find equally nice 10-inch dinner plates at a reasonable price, but for the moment, I'm fine with them. The other plate, charger plate, this this is why we're ending on the charger plate. I've also had a lot of requests to show how to set uh, an elaborate table. And by elaborate table, I'm talking about what do you do when you're going to serve 9 courses and you have the china and silver to do it. Oh, right here. Um, we're going to take a look at that. And I will show you how they use the charger plates, why, where the silverware goes. Now, my generation, in general, grew up knowing how to do this. We had dinner. I remember being a girl and dressing for dinner at least on the weekends. I don't remember doing it during weekdays. However, on weekdays when I was a small child, I ate in the kitchen, and yeah, other people ate in the dining room. Adults. I still remember when, you know, just that magic day came along when I got to eat in the dining room with everybody else. And by the time dinner was served, I was starving to death and ready to fall asleep in my chair. So there was probably a reason they used to stick me off in the kitchen. But we were from a generation that tended to entertain on that scale large dinner parties. So we know how to do it. Young people today really don't. And things have changed. They probably don't need to. On the other hand, if the queen comes by and decides that she wants dinner at your house, you need to know how to do this. And given the fact that, the queen is like 95, so she needs to get her partying in while she still can, I think we should all be prepared for the day that the queen drops by. Now, it has to be this queen, because next queen up is going to be Camilla, and she'll probably be just as happy eating out in the barn with the horses, so we don't have to worry too much about her. But this queen, I think she knows her soup spoon from her salad fork. So that's where we're going tomorrow. We are going to lay out dinner service, which plates go where the forks go, where the spoons go, etc., etc. All right, so have a great day, everyone, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow.